This is Prasad Mainampati. Today we are going to talk about one important topic in Oracle real application clusters. Generally and frequently asked question on voting disks. Why we need to have or we need to configure odd number of voting disks. So the question is a generally asked question. If we are configuring voting disks to support the failover, redundancy, high availability, right? Real application clusters itself is to support the high availability at different level, like the way we have like a DataGuard is the high availability solution for database level, as we know already. And how do we protect our instances? Definitely it's the real application clusters, which we can configure by installing grid infrastructure software from 11G onwards, by getting the ASM and the clusterware. These are the two components will get installed when we install grid infrastructure software for real application clusters. So ASM is required for storage, because one requirement to set up real application clusters is to have a shared storage where we are going to keep all database related files as well as cluster configuration related files, which are two important files we talk about. One is voting disk, the other one is OCR. These are the two components will get configured on a storage by the time we done with the grid installation. So these two files plays a major role in maintaining the heartbeat mechanism to ensure all the nodes that are participating in the cluster are healthy. So let's talk a bit about the voting disk before we answer the question, which is very frequently asked question, because whenever we take online sessions and all that, because these guys already attempted interviews as a RAG DBA, and they do ask us, can you really just elaborate on the why voting disk should be an odd number, that is as per architecture of your clusterware. Voting disk is the component of clusterware. So I just thought of just talk about that, so that it will be useful for the folks, those who are planning on to work on RAG DBAs actually. Okay, let's talk a bit on the voting disk first of all. As we all know, by the by, just to have an idea to cover up cluster. What is cluster? Cluster is nothing but individual, right, 2 node or 3 node, whatever. Each node by itself is capable to become as a server. When you harness together, when you make these 3 nodes together, the power would be phenomenal. So the official definition for cluster as per Oracle text: individual but interconnected. Point to be noted, right? Individual, interconnected, acting as a single service is called cluster. So more resources gives more power. We can achieve the high availability, right? So as we discussed in DataGuard, what is availability and types of availabilities and all that. Talking about availability, what is the very purpose of the database itself? Available, right? No matter what kind of technology that we are trying to implement with the database, it must be available. Of course, needless to say, performance is included in availability itself. Your system is up and running, no one can access it, it's not available. When we say available, yes, it is available as expected with respect to the response. That's what we consider as performance, right? Okay, then when we talk about high availability, it's available as expected with respect to performance and other stuff concerned. But what happens if that service goes down? Okay, we have to have something else to support that, right? That's where we talk about the availability options. One is high availability or low availability or medium availability, various kinds of availabilities. Depends upon how soon we can make that service available back to the users. That's all it matters. This is one purpose. Every single technology that is been implemented in Oracle or anywhere else, even you talk about RAID 5 and all that, what is that? It is available. A simple way availability is only possible, making the same resource available one more extra. How that extra one can play the role when the main primary one goes down matters in deciding what kind of availability it is. That's all it's about, right? Either it is hardware, either it is network you talk about. Yes, of course we do have network level high availability by having multiple NICs, NIC bonding and stuff like that. Everywhere, every single technology that we really configure and deploy is to support the availability. Yeah, at what area, which area availability that you are talking about matters a lot. So especially real application clusters, RAC is meant to support the high availability at instance level. As we know, this is the very basic stuff. So as we just discussed, we need to have more than one service. If one goes down, other one is going to support. That is the reason for the birth of RAC, real application clusters, with respect to instance especially. Okay, is that going down is a day in day out situation? Definitely not. Not even once in 6 months. If the system is, if the environment is configured properly, that's not expected actually. So what kind of benefit that we get day in day out by spending so much on infrastructure and getting the software and the setup and everything? Yeah, even though we really pick real application clusters to support in case if one instance goes down, still people can connect and do this stuff. But day in day out benefit is the load balancing. Phenomenal benefit. Load balancing is unbelievable. More we balance the load, better the performance, needless to say. So anyhow, that's all we discussed during the basics of the real application clusters as per the definition here. So these two nodes, assume this is node 1, assume this is node 2, these all are individually capable. That's what we're doing in core, right? What is that we do in core? Instance and the database, the relationship is 1:1 only. If that is the case, how do we protect instance failure? Can we start one more time the database in core database once it is already started? Definitely not. Why not? There are locks available not to start second time, because if you start the instance second time by force, of course there are ways and means, but you are really killing the database itself. If you know how to take out the locks, you can start. Actually, for testing purpose I did it. You can start multiple times, but that's very dangerous situation, because if you start one more instance, there is no communication established between these two. People can connect to this instance, people can connect to this instance, and they will be doing the transactions. No relationship, no nothing, because the data consistency is in question. So you end up corrupting the entire database logically, which is very dangerous. That's the reason in core database it won't let you start one more instance. So now what is that we are trying to achieve in real application clusters? Yes, you can start multiple instances, because we have taken care of the consistency by implementing the private network or interconnect, right? Similar, same name, private network or interconnect, or you call about cache fusion. Cache fusion is 100% depends on your private network, right? So all we are trying to do here is to harness more than one resource so that one is not available, other one can serve the purpose, so that show can continue, maybe little bit more load on it, response may be little slow, much better than not having the service at all, right? Having said that, the main criteria to set up the real application clusters is to have our database must be able to accessed by these two nodes. How is that possible? Server 1 should be able to access it, server 2 should be able to access the database. So let's say this is node 1, node 2. This is only possible when you have your database is placed on shared storage. Yeah, just to touch base upon, that's not the point we have this session. So shared storage is mandate, interconnect is mandate. Now these two physically two, logically single entity, that's what we say, this is one cluster, to have an idea basically. Yeah, we got the point. Now how is this possible to make these two nodes work as a single service? By implementing, by installing grid infrastructure software, which is going to get both the ASM and clusterware. ASM is supporting the storage, works as shared storage. It's a cluster file system basically. Clusterware is the software which is ensuring multiple individual services can work together as a single cluster. This software is responsible for getting all the files, directories and everything that is required to make sure this cluster is intact, not compromising on the consistency, even in case of unlikely situations. Okay, what do we mean by unlikely situations? Because we said this is the most critical one, which is making these two work together as a single service in maintaining the consistency of the data, right? Assume that you have one more node, 3-node cluster. Let's say this is 3-node cluster. Of course 3 must be connected, interconnected, private network. Now the very purpose of this interconnect is to keep these 3 together to maintain the consistency, as we just discussed. What happens if this goes down? That is the whole purpose of this discussion, right? Now this is like your core, right? So you have two instances, assuming these two working as a single service, because this got disconnected, this became aloof. Now people are connecting to this instance, doing some stuff, no idea what's going on here, like there is no communication between these two. In order to make sure, in order to address this kind of situations, Oracle introduced one important file that is called voting disk. That's the episode. Okay, just to know, as we are discussing about the important files for clusterware, is the one other file is called OCR, which is not the today's topic. So these are the two files. So one important thing to know, voting disk and OCR must be available on the shared storage, because these two files are very critical for clusterware to function properly in making sure all the nodes that are in the cluster is working as expected. If not, what to do is with the help of the voting disk. Okay, now as name says, voting disk sounds like this disk is for vote. If we really try to understand the architecture itself, hey, these all are individual servers, man. Everything is down now. We are starting first server. How a server can participate in a cluster? Server can only participate in cluster by voting into voting disk, that which is available on ASM. Now, hey, I'm here, I joined the meeting. Second guy, second node we are starting. While it is starting up, in order to start cluster related services, first of all it must make an entry into voting disk saying that, hey, I am also here. Okay, we got 2 now. As per the configuration OCR, as per this example, we have to have 3 nodes part of the cluster. Can I start only 2 but not the 3? If you don't need any services that are explicitly configured to start on the node 3, if you don't care, that's fine. If that's supposed to be available, hey, start the third one too. When you start the third one, while third one is coming up, again it is voting, saying that, hey, I'm here, by participating into voting disk. It's like joining GoToMeeting, or maybe in a bridge. Join 1, 2, 3, 4, all the members supposed to be there. They joined it, start the meeting. Similar way, so they joining this bridge to say that, hey, I'm part of cluster, now I'm available, so that services can be provided. So that's how clusterware ensures all the nodes are participated in the cluster which are available based on the configuration. So configuration is here and participation verification goes here, voting disk. Okay, these 2 are files, but files alone cannot do this job, right? There must be a process. That's what we call CSSD, cluster synchronization services daemon, right? So cluster synchronization services daemon is responsible for making sure this connectivity and this connectivity. What is this and this? This is network connectivity. Interconnect network connectivity should be maintained, and make sure this is all working as expected based on the heartbeat mechanism, and between these 2 also heartbeat mechanism. So as long as I am getting the response, okay, these 3 nodes are healthy. This is network heartbeat mechanism. That is one method. There are 2, in fact altogether 2 methods in making sure all the nodes are healthy. We call that in a heartbeat mechanism. One is at network level, the other one is disk level, right? Disk level heartbeat mechanism, just to understand the functionality of the voting disk. Without that, just knowing the answer may not be that useful. So this would help even answering other kind of questions too. So if I have to say that, man, the environment, the cluster environment is healthy, so this must be going on, this must be going on, then it's intact, it's working fine as expected. So clusterware is doing its job with the help of the background process called cluster synchronization services daemon, which is very critical in making sure all the nodes are healthy in a given cluster. Okay, now we got what is voting disk, the purpose of the voting disk. By the way, anyhow this is being verified by CSSD internal. So as long as we verify this, why do we need this voting disk? Voting disk is the second level of verification. Okay, why do we need second level of verification? This is not good enough to say that, hey, these 3 nodes, these three servers are intact. Well, as we discussed here, what if this goes down? What if the interconnect goes down from node 3? So 3 cannot communicate with 2, 3 cannot communicate with 1. That scenario, the only way you can do whatever supposed to be done in order to protect the integrity of the cluster is through voting disk. Okay, so CSSD daemon is going to send a message to node 3 via voting disk saying that, hey, you better reboot, because you cannot be up and running because people may access, because people are accessing via public network. That's a different story. Okay, let's not deviate from the point. So this is what we say reboot or node eviction. Node will evict, means reboot it. Okay, when you reboot, while it is rebooting, again it's supposed to participate in voting disk, and this must be synchronized, then only it will participate. Otherwise, unless you fix this problem, definitely this node cannot participate. Whatever the problem that is, if NIC card is gone bad, or maybe the both redundant one both are gone, so that's the reason it is highly recommended to have more than one. If one is not available, the other one can support, maybe active, passive. Again, that is a different story. How do you set up the interconnect for high availability purpose? Every single aspect is supported, must be supported with high availability, in order to make sure all the services are available as expected, right? So now quickly recap. The purpose of voting disk is, in case there is a problem with interconnect, your CSSD daemon can send the communication to node 3 because it cannot communicate through this. The CSS daemon can communicate, because what happens is node fencing happens. When the node 3 is unable to communicate, these two nodes will get fenced together. Hey, this node cannot participate in network because we are unable to communicate. If we cannot communicate with node 3, we cannot send the data, and we cannot ensure the consistency of the cluster as well as the consistency of the database too, because this is the connectivity where the data can travel across the nodes within the cluster. So that's the reason node fencing will happen, and this node will get evicted. If it can participate by joining the voting disk as well as the interconnect, then it can part of the cluster. So we do what all required to fix that problem. Once we fix it, then it can be participate immediately. The consistency is being protected. So without voting disk, there is no way you can tell node 3 to just reboot yourself, right? So that is the very purpose of the voting disk. Now we got what is voting disk. Now the very purpose of this session is why voting disks should be in odd number. Now voting disk, as we discussed just now, is going to be available on shared disk, on a cluster file system. As we have seen already, ASM is the cluster file system. Now we are going to keep on ASM. As we know, ASM supports 3 levels of redundancy, right? Any disk that you create in ASM, that disk group must participate one of the redundancy. So one is external redundancy. As we all know, external redundancy means zero redundancy, no duplicate copy, only one copy will be there. Normal redundancy, two copies. This supports redundancy, one copy. If one goes down, again storage level redundancy, storage level availability. And high redundancy, 3 by default. Okay, no copies, one copy, 2 copies apart from the master copy. This is a normally how the ASM disk groups can be configured with respect to the redundancy concern. Okay, since we are going to keep our voting disk on one of the ASM disk groups, how this configuration is supposed to be? External, you can have these are the copies, number of copies of voting disk, while keeping on ASM disk group with the external redundancy. One copy is fine, because it won't take more than one, because no redundancy, right? In case of normal, as per Oracle clusterware architecture, the number of disks that must be there is 3 but not 2. Only in case of voting disk. If you are planning to keep your voting disk on a disk group, disk 1, disk 2, disk 3, whatever it is, that disk group must have minimum not 2, minimum 3. In case if you wanted to keep your voting disk on high redundancy, it should have 5. So this is also we know. The point is, why this way? As per clusterware architecture, each node must participate more than 50% of the disks in a disk group. Okay, so when we have one copy of the voting disk, that is accepted. Let's say for example, why not 2? If I keep 2, 1 goes down, I have only 1 left over. 1 is not greater than 50%, then it is like one disk itself. Your cluster will stop functioning if that goes down. So that's the reason they say, hey, in case of normal, you make sure the disk group that you are going to keep your voting disk must have minimum 3 disks. That case, what happens if 1 goes down, you still have 2 disks available. Okay, 2 is more than 50%, still it can function, your cluster will function. No, I may think, I might lose more than 2. Again, 4 is not taken because 50%, 2, again it will fail. So the next number is going to be 5. So if 2 goes down and 3 disks will be working and 3 is more than 50%, so your cluster can continue functioning. So the rule is each node must be able to use minimum more than 50% of the disks, more than half of the voting disks in a disk group. So that's the reason when we try to create a disk group in ASM to keep our voting disk, we make sure in case of normal it must be 3, not 2. By mistake, if you create 2 without knowing this, it's already there on external with 1. When you try to move voting disk from external to normal disk group, whatever the disk group that is, it will not be succeeded. It will throw an error saying that we can't do that. So reason being, make sure when you create normal redundancy, have 3 disks in it. When you create with high redundancy, make sure you have 5 disks in it, so that your voting disk can be moved to a disk group having the enough number of disks participating in the disk group. So I hope this gives some idea, but seeing is believing. So let us see on a system how it is going to work for us. Okay, let's see. I have 3 node cluster here. So I have rack 1, rack 2 and rack 3. So it's up and running now. So I just made bunch of disks over here to play with it. So what we do is we'll just create one disk group with 2 disks, another disk group which is normal with 3 disks. Right now, where is the voting disk? Right now it is on disk 1, which is external. So how do we know? Let us check that. Current configuration. So in rack 1, so let's see, I source the environment. So in order to see where the files are, CRS CTL query CSS vote disk will give you the location of the voting disk currently where it is available. On data disk group it is there. So it depends on the redundancy. Just because I have 10 disks in data, it's all goes by the redundancy. So let us check how many, what type of redundancy. ASMCA is the tool that we can even check. There are ways actually. You can use LSDG by by connecting to command prompt. ASMCMD can even give you the type of redundancy is being configured for data. So you can even log into ASM and you can check. Otherwise ASMCA, the reason I am using ASMCA because we want to create a couple of disk groups to migrate, right? So now we know this is on data disk group, and then if you go and say, or if you wanted to add this and all that, so these are the members. 1 2 3 4 is part of the data disk group, and it is configured as external, means only one copy it is going to keep. So that's the reason we have it right now over there. Now what we do is we'll just create a new disk group. Okay, so I have this disk I can use. So let me say voting disk normal. Okay, voting disk normal I would create with first one, and 1 is the one I am going to create normally. So I'll just pick voting disk 1 and 2 because this is going to have 2 disks. So when we try to move our voting disk from data disk group to VDN1, it should fail. Okay, so let's create first normal we have taken and say okay. So once we done with this, we'll use 3, 4, 5 and we create VDN2, so that's having 3 disks. So we try to migrate from disk 1 to disk 2 and see what happens. So how do we migrate? CRSCTL replace what disk to VDN1 and VDN2. So that would tell us the message on whatever we have discussed so far. Okay, disk group created successfully. Very good. That's one. And then let's create another one. Okay, we have VDN1 and say one more. I would like to use 1, 2, 3 voting disk normal 2, the one which is going to be successful, right? VDN2 voting disk normal 2. So I have 3 disks in it. That is the point we've been talking about. Let's say okay. So if I pick high, I should provide 5 disks. Okay, we have only 4. That's the reason I still pick normal. So meanwhile, let's go and check. Yeah, let's minimize that. Let me open a terminal, su-oracle. That's where I have installed great software and all that. So CRSCTL stat resource-t to see all the services are available. Yep, the services are we want. ASM is available. Oh, disk created successfully. Good job. Okay, we have the disk that we needed. So let me show you the other way of verifying the details. ASM CMD. ASM CMD is the command line utility, connects to ASM as is ASM, right? ASM typo ASM CMD. Okay, it connects to the prompt and say LSDG, right? So we have VDN1 normal, VDN2, both are there. And let's see, let's clear the screen. Let's make it bigger. So as we have seen already, CRSCTL query CSS vote disk. Okay, now let's try to move it. CRSCTL replace vote disk. So we denote with plus sign. Let's move it to VDN2 first of all. Okay, VDN2. So we try to migrate from disk data disk to VDN2. So because it is having 3 disks, it should go on. Here we go. Successfully replaced with VDN. Now if you say query vote disk, now it's been moved to VDN2 having three disks. Okay, so now let's try to move this from VDN2 to VDN1 where we have only 2 disks. Okay, which is good in case of normal disk group. That's not good for our voting disk to keep it. Okay, so let's see what this is going to say. Right, so failed to create voting disk files on disk group VDN1, change to configuration failed but was successful. Rollback in sense it put the way it was, command replace failed or compiled with errors. Okay, so if you go and check, it is successfully available on VDN2. Hope this gives some idea on why Oracle clusterware architecture requires minimum 1 disk, and if you wanted to implement redundancy, which is highly recommended, When you create with normal disk group, make sure you have 3 disks in it. When we configure on high redundancy, make sure we have minimum 5 disks in it. Alright guys, I think it was useful. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll be back with some other interesting topic. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. Bye now.